And certainly the questions are all.
Thank you. I know the hour is late. Thank you all for being here. I know you've heard a lot of candidates and elected officials tonight. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Dennis Robertson. I'm the 3rd District Councilman. I'm a Democratic candidate, Working Family Party candidate for mayor this year. My wife Jean will be in here soon. Her and I have 6 children. We were both born and raised in Yonkers. I'm one of 7. She's one of 7. We love this city with all our heart, which is why I spent so much time in community and public service. My entire adult life, I've been involved in community and public service, worked for various community-based organizations, various school programs, was a Westchester County Planning Board member, was a member of the Yonkers Industrial Development Agency for 10 years, was a Civil Service Commissioner in Yonkers. In my private life, I'm a businessman. I have a building maintenance contracting firm. I've been doing that for over 20 years. It happened quite by accident. I wanted to be a social worker because I wanted to help troubled teenagers. I still want to help troubled teenagers. And I was cleaning windows while in college, and then somebody put the bug in my ear that social workers don't make enough money to support a family. And I went from cleaning windows to a multi-million-dollar building maintenance firm, which I'm very proud of. Over 1,000 employees. We're headquartered in New Jersey. We're in 7 states. In 2003, in 1993, I had my first unsuccessful run for the city council. Ran against the incumbent up there, John Spencer, who was a councilman at the time. I lost. Stayed involved. Came back in 2003 when it became an open seat. Richard Martinelli was the councilman. Was term limited. I ran for that seat. I promised the people 3 things in the 3rd District: honesty, hard work, and loyalty. I believe I've delivered on that. I have the most diverse and interesting district in the entire city. Joan, you better be ready for that. It encompasses Northwest Yonkers. It goes a little bit into Park Hill. Then it comes down. I have South Broadway. I have Harriet. I have Jefferson. I have Highland Avenue that juts across Bradford Street and goes down to Riverdale Avenue, where I have some new, and Ludlow Park. In most budget votes, Joan, I got to tell you, you're in a no-win situation. But it has really prepared me, I believe, to be a good mayor. I had a choice this year to run for re-election or to run for mayor. I'm very concerned about the future of our city. I simply don't think that this mayor is doing the job that a mayor needs to do to move us forward. He ran on continuing the progress, and that changed to doing what's right. I can tell you we've increased our budget $200 million in 4 years, and we're still facing a more than $70 million deficit. I'm very proud that this city council made education a priority, and we absolutely did. My Democratic colleagues, Sandy Nobby, Patricia McDowell, and I went to Albany our first year in office, and we asked Assemblyman Pretlow and Assemblyman Robertson, what do we got to do to get more money from you guys for our education system? And they said, you got to fund your own system. The previous 8 years of the Republican administration, they put in $0 for education. We changed that. We made education a priority. The state matched that. We have over $150 million in education. My only issue with education now is accountability. I want more accountability from the trustees to the people who actually use the system. We hear a lot about development. I'm the chairman of real estate. I am for development, but it's got to make sense. I am not for development that only makes sense for developers. Development has to make sense first and foremost for the people in Yonkers, for the people who live here, taxpayers, and for the neighborhoods where the development goes in. I'm very clear on that. I think Policing is a very serious issue. I know Bob has the captains and lieutenants here once a month. I think we have a fantastic police department. I'm proud that we've added almost 40 new officers. Some of the mayors mailing say 125, 135. The reality is it's only 40 new officers. But then again, I think we need to have a police department that is more reactive to the community. I love it when I see cops in the streets. I don't see enough cops in the streets. I'd like to see more of that. I've learned a lot about the environment since I got elected. I quite frankly consider myself an environmentalist today because of a lot of people in this room. And we need to protect our neighborhoods. We need to look at projects, not project specific. We made a lot of mistakes. I got to tell you, this administration, this city council that I was part of, made a lot of mistakes in the Ridge Hill. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, it wasn't a speech, it was just an intro? Yes. I apologize.
You got your name a while ago.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Anyway, I'll shut up now. And then I'm sure all this will come up in questions. I'm sorry, Greg. You're going to speak with Dwight.
Good evening. It is still late, so I will go quickly. I'm a professional engineer, and the jobs that I had prior to becoming deputy mayor in 1996 were all engineering jobs. I was a building commissioner the last job before I became deputy mayor in White Plains, and every day I would come home and see what was going on up there in White Plains at that time, the renaissance of a Smithy city, a small city, a quarter our size, and came back down to the city of Yonkers where nothing was being done. A lot was promised, but nothing was done. So for 8 years as the deputy mayor in charge of economic development and operations, we started to rebuild our infrastructure, and we started to create a good place for businesses to invest in us. Because they weren't coming here. And proof of that was that nothing had been done. Well, over that 8-year period, we finally created a good environment that was good for businesses to invest in. And then in my last 4 years, things have really taken off. And by taking off, I mean we are now getting the kind of quality developers that it took such a long time to attract to the city. People who are coming in here to invest in our city and invest in good quality development that will provide thousands of jobs, that will provide millions of dollars in new revenues, that will enable us now to do the things that we need to do. And what we need to do is provide for our police and fire and sanitation and parks and schools with our teachers and our school workers. Can't pay for that constantly on the backs of the existing taxpayers. You'll tax them out of your city. So what we need to do is we need to bring in more taxpayers, and that's what this new development is doing. That Ridge Hill project is bringing in, when it's done, will net us about $20 million a year in new taxes. We negotiated, the Ridge Hill Development Corporation negotiated to buy out their lease and got almost $30 million out of that lease, which was, by the way, which is exactly what it was appraised at, because it was a lease that would have extended out 70 years, and got that money back, and they paid off their debt, and there's money now available to the city of Yonkers, almost $8 to $9 million that can come into the city coffers. We now have the kind of quality development down in the downtown and on waterfront that's been talked about since we were children. I got here when I was 2 years old, and all the years that I was growing up, we heard about the great development that was going to happen in our downtown, and it didn't. We have a school system that for years was under the burden of a federal desegregation order. Well, the school side was settled several years ago, and just earlier this year, I signed a housing order, and we finalized it. That enables us, now that that housing order is settled, to finally start rebuilding a neighborhood school system, one that served the city so well. Certainly when I was growing up, it served the city extremely well. And to do that, we need to put more schools in Southwest Yonkers, where 70% of our school children live in the public schools, but only 35% of our classroom space exists. In order to do that, we once again need money. So this development becomes the lifeblood of our city. It's jobs. We created 5,000 new jobs in the last 4 years. It's revenue. We've added $15 million, and we can add as much as 2 to 3 times that in the next few years to our tax base. And what it does do is it allows us now to expand the existing schools, as our superintendent is already doing. Changing our kindergarten, middle school, high school system to a kindergarten through 8th grade and a high school system. A system that works in Broadfield Private School, and it's already working in Yonkers. The first 5 schools he did that to because he had the room to expand within the existing buildings. Every single one of those schools, 6th, 7th, and 8th grades, outperformed 6th, 7th, and 8th grades in the middle school by 14 to 18%. That shows that the children needed to stay in a nurturing environment, and the teachers who knew them already and administrators who knew them, and that's what he's going to do for the remainder of the schools. And that requires some capital expansion. And we're going to do that by working with the Catholic schools, those that have been abandoned. We may be able